Christ bless all of you guys and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to talk about a video from Dr. Eric Mason and some comments he made on Sister White. Now, normally I don't this is not my field of interest. I don't really feel too much of the need to talk about these things because my main field is metaphysics and ontology, specifically the ontological view of God. So I don't necessarily always talk about this, even though my first video was specifically about this, but it's normally just about metaphysics and philosophy and things of that nature. But whenever there is a situation where I have to talk about it, I will, because I don't like misrepresentations. But I got the idea from a live stream that I saw from Advent's Defense League. They're a very good channel, by the way. Subscribe to them, and they have a lot of good content. I don't necessarily agree with them on everything, but their content is really good. A lot of what they teach is really sound, and they're working for the Lord. So subscribe to them, and we're just gonna jump into the video. We're gonna see the obvious errors that the brother was spewing. He clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. So we're gonna look at it, and hopefully he can see this video and know that he obviously is just wrong, and that he should do the base level amount of research so that he can knows what he's talking about. Like, he even wrote a book on it, and I don't understand how you can write a book on something and you're just wrong on basic level doctrine. It does not make sense to me. But we're gonna watch a video. We're gonna see the errors that he made, and yeah, let's just get to it.
And they say that she is the last prophet, right?
So you see, this is why I say he doesn't know what he's talking about. I have never heard anyone ever make that claim in our church. Maybe some one-off layman in the church that clearly does not know what he's talking about. But that's something a Muslim would say. Who in our church has ever said that? No one says that. Not even, you're not going to see that officially, and you're not going to hear that from anyone that knows what they're talking about. So clearly he either has not done his research, or he's just blatantly lying, because that's not true. So if we go right here, and this is Andrews University's website. So it's an official website of our church, right? And this is what Sister White had to say about this specifically. They were asking her questions on regarding to prophecy and things of that nature, and this is what she has to say on this first part. I do not know whether or not there will be another prophet. And when she means another prophet, she means a prophet specifically doing what she did. Right? For the Lord has not told me. But he has told me that whether or not my life is spared, what I have written is sufficient to carry the church through the end of time. So clearly, she herself, she doesn't know, because God hasn't told her. But then some people make this claim. Some incorrectly have concluded that if the church does not need another prophet before the end, this proves that there will not be one such. But Ellen White herself said we wouldn't have need for her if we had studied our Bibles and as we should have. If you had made God's word your study with desire to reach Bible standards and attain Christian perfection, you would not need the testimonies. It is because you have neglected to acquaint yourself with God's inspired book that he has sought to reach you by simple, direct testimony, calling your attention to the word of inspiration which you have neglected to obey, and urging you to fashion your lives in accordance to its pure, elevated teachings. And you keep reading there. It says, and if God, in his wisdom, love, and mercy, gave us the gift of prophecy in Ellen White, he might as well do it again in the future. On the basis of Joel chapter 2, verse 28 and 32, there is room for the possibility of more than one prophet in God's remnant church in the end time. And then we go to the conclusion. Will there be another genuine prophet in the Seventh-day Adventist church before Jesus' return? We must admit that Joel chapter 2, verse 28 to 32 allows for this possibility. Peter, in his sermon at Pentecost, Acts chapter 2, spoke of Pentecost as the fulfillment of Joel chapter 2. Pentecost was only a partial fulfillment of Joel chapter 2. The supernatural phenomenon in the heavenly body we're still in a future fulfillment. Now, why did they add these extra parts regarding Peter and the fulfillment of Joel chapter 2? It's because preterists, and preterists have this view, and also cessationists. Again, we're talking about Reformed theology again. I don't want to get into it, but it's Reformed theology again. There's normally the Reformed camp that argues against us when it comes to this. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to open that can of worms right now. I might make another video on it regarding Joel chapter 2 and Acts chapter 2. And we're going to make sense of this and basically de-reform it and actually make it teach what it actually says. Because Joel chapter 2 was a partial fulfillment in Acts chapter 2, as they said right here. But it continues unto the end of time. This is not something that just ended in Pentecost. It continues. So that's another can of worms, as I said. I might make another video on that. But no, in no way, shape, or form do we believe that she was the last prophet. There can be many. There can be none. We don't know. Only God knows who he will give his gift, who he will give the gift of prophecy to. No one knows. There are prophets today. There are many false prophets, but there are many good prophets. We don't know. So no, we do not teach that she was the last prophet. That's just a blatant lie. We're not Muslims. And if we go here again, and this is specifically talking about will there be another special messenger, you guys can go read the whole thing. Just type will there be another special messenger, and just write Ellinger White writings, and you'll see it. You go down to the conclusion, and it says pretty clearly, if in the closing days of the great controversy God chooses to speak to his people through another living messenger, he alone will select the one for that purpose, and it will soon be known to the church, from Dan even to Bathsheba, that such a one is a prophet of the Lord. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. The guy is the brother's just blatantly lying. He's not being sincere right now, or he just did not take the time to do any form of research, because this is pretty clear that we don't believe that.
Seventh-day Adventists to do, because Seventh-day Adventism is a cult.
How do we still have people saying this in 2025? We still have people calling SDA a cult in 2025. It does not make sense to me. I don't understand how you can't do the basic amount of research and just come to the conclusion that, hey, these guys are not that bad. I might not agree with them on everything, but they're not that bad. We're not Mormons. We're not Jehovah's Witnesses. We're not New Age Christianity. We're not Pop Christianity. We're not Neo-Christianity. We're not Scientology. We're not any of these weirdo religions. We are Christians. I don't understand where you get this idea from. Just do basic research. Stop watching random YouTube videos and do basic research. Stop saying that in 2025. It's cringe.
Adventism is a cult. It is, right? It says our faith is unpopular at best and is in wide contrast to the faith and practices of other denominations. In order to reach those who are in darkness, that is us, because we're not SDA,
Side note, I want you to pay attention to what he just did there. He read that and said, in darkness, us, because we're not SDA. That's not what she means. That's why you gotta have this. I'm surprised that Edwin and them didn't catch on to that, because that's why you gotta have discernment. Because what he's trying to imply is that we are saying that they are basically lost. They're in darkness. But that's not what the context is saying. It's saying that they're in darkness of error, meaning they have certain errors in their church. He believes we have errors in our church. So we're in darkness of error and we need to correct it. That would never necessarily mean that we're lost or saved. That just means that you have certain doctrines that are not of light, that are not sound, that are of the devil, that is not good. But he's trying to make it seem as if she's saying that everyone that is not SDA is in darkness because they don't hold the same view as us. Like, these little things they do to make it seem worse than what it actually is, man. You got to be careful with these people sometimes.
Of error and false theories, we must approach them with the utmost caution and with the greatest wisdom, agreeing with them on every point that we can conscientiously. All consideration should be shown for those in error, and all just credit given for them for honesty. We should come as near the people as possible, and then the light and truth which we have may benefit them. So interestingly enough, she teaches, act like you're another Christian denomination.
So clearly he does not know what he's talking about. But that's not what she means at all. Let's actually go to the context of what she actually means. Again, basic research. You don't even need to go through the full context of it. It's in your face. It has nothing to do about pretending to be like other tribes or denominations, whatever you want to call it. Let's actually go to the book and that was written and see the context of it. So this is where this is where the context lies, right? It's in Testimony for the Church number 24, right? And it's epistle number 3. And here you are, just by literally reading the first paragraph, not the 15th, not the 20th paragraph, the first paragraph. We read. I'm not gonna read too much because it's pretty much her just kind of like dunking on this guy because he's being arrogant. But I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna read probably these 3 paragraphs and that's about it. So, brother, name redacted. I'm pretty sure they did that so not to publicly humiliate them. But brother redacted. I have designated you. I have designed to write to you for some time in the past, but I have not found an opportunity to do so until now. While speaking to the people last Sabbath, I felt so clearly impressed with your case that I could with difficulty refrain from calling your name publicly. I will get this burden off of my mind by writing to you. In my last vision, I was shown the defiances of those who profess to labor in the word and in doctrine. I saw that you had not been improving your abilities, but had been growing less and less efficient to teach the truth. You need a thorough conversion. You are a strong set will. You have a strong set will, even to stubbornness. You might now have been fitted for the solemn work of bearing the message of the truth to others, had you been less self-confident and more humble and meek in spirit. We're starting to see the context now. You do not love close application, nor the taxation of the continued effort. You have not been persevering students of the word of God. Neither have you been a zealous worker in the cause of God. Your life has been far from representing the life of Christ. You are not discriminating. You are a judicious and wise worker. You are not a judicious and wise worker. You do not study to win souls to Christ, as every minister of Christ should. You have a set track and a standard of your own to which you wish to bring to the people, but you fail to do this because they will not accept your standards. You are bigoted and frequently carrying things to the extremes and thereby seriously hurt the cause of God and turn souls from the truth instead of winning it to them. So when she means things to the extreme, probably like extremists that you would see nowadays in most churches. Oh, you don't hold the same views I do, you're gonna burn in hell, you suck, and all your family is gonna burn too because they don't have the exact view that I have. That's basically most likely what she's referring to. I'm being a little bit extreme with my wordings too, but maybe it might be more tamed, or the exact level of harshness that he was doing. So that's basically what she's referring to. I was shown that you had spoiled several goods opening by your injudicious manner of laboring. And what shall I say to you in regard to this manner? Souls have been lost through your lack of wisdom and presenting the truth, and your failure to adorn your calling as a gospel minister by courteousness, kindness, and long suffering. True Christian politeness should be characterized all the actions of the minister of Christ. Oh, how poorly have you represented our pitiful, compassionate Redeemer, whose life was the embodiment of goodness and purity. So, again, if you read the context, this is what it's actually talking about. So it's about this one guy basically being a turd. That's basically what it is. He's being a jerk, he's being rude, he's being an extremist. And if you go down to and actually let me read this here. Unbelievers have been disgusted, for they think that Seventh-day Adventists have been fairly represented by you. And they have decided that that is enough, and that they want no more such doctrine. Our faith is unpopular at best. And this is the context. That is why she is saying this. Because he has made the face of the church look like him. A bigoted, hateful extremist that thinks everyone's gonna most likely burn in hell because they don't hold the same view as him. That's why they walked away and don't want to know about our doctrine, because he has tainted the church with his extremist views and bigoted and hateful heart, not representing the love of Christ. Our faith is unpopular at best. This is the quote. And is in wide contrast to the faith and practices of other denominations. In order to reach men and women who are in the darkness of false theories, and errors, we must approach them with the utmost caution and with the greatest wisdom, agreeing with them on every point that we consciously can. All consideration should be shown for those in error, and all credit must be given for honesty. We should come as near to the people as possible, and then the light of the truth we have may benefit them. But Brother Redacted and many of our ministers commence a warfare at once against the errors that others cherish, thus raise their combativeness and their set will, which hold them encased in an armor of selfish prejudice, which no amount of evidence can remove. So again, context matters. You gotta read the whole thing. If you don't read the whole thing, you can end up making anything up, like he just did in the video, because he did not take the time to read the context. This has nothing to do with being secretive and mysterious and act like them. No, that's not what it's talking about. It's referring about this guy and others misrepresenting the church and not showing the love of Christ and not being humble, which taints the name of the church, which makes it an unpopular church. That's why she's saying that. But if you don't read the context, you're going to come out with something completely different. And even when you don't read the whole paragraph, even there, you can't come out with that conclusion. That's ridiculous. So again, you read the context. But apparently he just does not want to. He does not care to. He most likely gets these quotes from a random SDA hater or something, and then he just rolls with it because he doesn't care to do enough research. And then when someone wants to talk to him about it, he just does not reply. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Like recently, a guy in this city, a Seventh-day Adventist pastor, I don't even know his name. I said something about the Seventh-day Adventists, and he came on my page saying, you could have came hollered at us if you thought it had an issue. I said, first off, I don't know you. That's number one, bro. I never met you in my life, and that's not arrogant. I just don't know you. And I said, so do you believe Jesus Christ is co-equal and co-eternal to the Father? So what they'll say is yes, but they mean something totally different. Co-equal means that God the Father and God the Son and God the Spirit are equal. Co-eternal for us means that Jesus has always existed eternally. Past, present, future. There's no past, present, future in eternity, but we call it eternity past. So that means there was not a time when the Son wasn't. Oh, you should have shouted right there. Yeah. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even know what to tell you on that part. I mean, I'll just show you guys. I'll just show you guys. The Lord Jesus Christ, the divine Son of God, existed from eternity, a distinct person, yet one with the Father. He was the surpassing glory of heaven. He was the commander of the heavenly intelligence, and the adorning homage of the angels was received by him as his right. There was no robbery of God. And speaking of his pre-existence, Christ carries the mind back through the dateless ages. He assures us that there was never a time where he was not. Literally the same thing he claimed that we don't believe. In close fellowship with the eternal God, he to whose voice the Jews were then listening had been with God as one brought up with him. In him was life eternal, was life, and life was the light of men. John 1:4. It was not a physical life that is here specified, but the immortality, the life which is exclusively the property of God. The Word, who was with God and who was God and has this life, physically life is something which each individual receives. It is not eternal or immortal. For God, the life giver, takes it again. Man has no control over his life, but the life of Christ was unborrowed. No one can take this life from him. I lay it down myself. God 10:18. John 10:18. He said, in him was life original, unborrowed, underived. His life is not inherent in man. He can possess it only through Christ. He cannot earn it. It was given to him as a free gift if he believes in Christ as his personal savior. This is life eternal, that they might know that thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. This is the open fountain for life for the world. The world was made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Christ made all things. He existed before all things. The word was spoken in regards to this are so divisive that no one need be left in doubt. Christ was God essentially, and in the highest sense. He was with God from all eternity. God over all, blessed forevermore. The Lord Jesus Christ, the divine Son of God, existed from eternity. A distinct person, yet one with the Father. He was the surpassing glory of heaven, the commander of the heavenly intelligence, and adoring the homage of the angels that was received by him as his light. There was no robbery of God. I already read this. So, no, no. None of us believes that. Only, unfortunately, the heretics that are in our church that are Arians, unfortunately. But hey, we're dealing with them. But to say this is is completely unjust and unreasonable, because one, you're completely lying. You're not telling the truth. We obviously don't believe that, and I took it from the horse's mouth itself. So I don't want to hear anything that, oh well, but she believed. No. It's right there in your face. I don't want to hear anything else. It is clearly said. I don't know where people get this from. Clearly, he's either lying or he just blatantly has not done any form of research. So let's continue to the next point he made.
Yeah. So he's always existed. But the Seventh-day Adventists believe that Gabriel, Michael, Lucifer, and Jesus were among the archangels equals. Then at some point in eternity, God the Father decided to exalt Jesus to equal status with him. So when
Alright, again, I'm just gonna show you the text showing that once again he just does not take the time to read anything or to do a lick of research. So let me just go over here and show you guys this as well. Lucifer in heaven before his rebellion was a high exalted angel next to the honor of God's dear son. His countenance, likely those of the other angels, was mild and expensive of happiness. His forehead was high and broad, showing powerful intellect. His form was perfect, his bearing noble and majestic. A special light beamed from his countenance and shone around the brighter and more beautiful than around the other angels. Yet Christ, God's dear son, had the preeminence over all angelic hosts. He was one with the Father before the angels were created. If he was one with the Father before the angels was created, how was he then equal to the angels and had preeminence over all the angelic hosts beforehand if he was equal with them? Lucifer was envious of Christ and gradually assumed command, which devolved on Christ alone. Angels that were loyal and true sought to reconcile the first great rebel to the will of his creator. They justified the act of God in conferring horror upon Jesus Christ, and reconciled reason sought to convince Satan that no less honor was his now that before the Father had proclaimed the honor which he had conferred upon his son. He clearly set forth that Jesus was the Son of God, existing with him before the angels were created again, and that had ever stood at the right hand of God. His position never changed, and his mild, loving authority had not heterophore, I don't know how to say that word, been questioned. His authority was never questioned, and that he had given no command but what it was joy for the heavenly host to execute. They had urged that Christ, receiving special honor from the Father in the presence of the angels, did not distract from the honor that he had therefore received. I'm just gonna say therefore. I hope that's what it means. The angels wept and anxiously sought to move Satan to renounce his wicked design and yield submission to their creator. All that therefore been peace and harmony, and what could occasion this dissenting, rebellious voice. Again, I don't know what else to show you. Let me show you one more. I think this is the clearest one too. There had been no change in the position of the authority of Christ. I mean, come on, man. Dude, come on. Lucifer envy and misrepresentation and his claims to be equal with Christ, which means he tried to be equal with God because Jesus is God. He made necessary a statement of true position of the Son of God, but this had been the same from the beginning. Many of the angels were, however, blinded by Lucifer's deception. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to show you. This is pretty blatantly clear. Clearly he was not switched to a higher position. He was always God, meaning he always had the same exact position. He always existed. So there is no point where he was created. He has been existing from eternity past. There's been no time where he has not existed because he's God. Therefore, there has been no time where his position has changed because he is God. Let's just listen to this last point that he made, and then we'll end the video off there.
Status with him. So when they say co-equal, co-eternal, they'll say, yes, he's equal. He's co-eternal because he's an eternal being. They don't mean that he always existed. That's why you have to be careful, because cults will use the same language that you use, but mean a totally different thing. If they said Jesus before he became Yeshua was the Archangel Michael. Same thing that the Jehovah's Witnesses do.
On this last point, I mean, how are people still saying this in 2025? Obviously, that's not true. We held the same view as the Reformers held. Michael is just another title for Jesus Christ in his pre-incarnate state. There is nothing really damnable about that. Many people believed in that. I'll show you that we don't believe that he is not divine. He has always existed, and that it's just another title. I'm not going to show much because I mean it's 2025. We should not be arguing for. There shouldn't be an argument about that. Everyone knows we don't believe that he's literally an angel that was created or something. So I'm just gonna show you guys this. I'm just gonna show you guys this. This is an answer to the question that people had about right here. Anyways, thought on the heresy that Christ is the Archangel Michael. Answer: the Archangel Michael's identity has been debated throughout centuries. Both Ellen White and many non-Adventist Bible scholars equated Michael with Christ. This view does not require any lessening of Christ's full deity. We don't believe that Jesus is a created being or anything of that nature. We don't believe that. Stop saying that we believe that. We don't believe that. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that, and that is damnable heresy. But we don't believe that. So please stop saying that. That's gonna be it for the video. I can't lie, I enjoyed it, but genuinely this was a headache to make because the claims were genuinely wild, and I just hope a fair amount of people can watch this and learn from it. So thanks again for ADL for giving me this video idea. Follow them, like and subscribe to their channel. They have good content. Again, I don't agree with everything, but the vast majority of it, I mean, it's just flawless. So subscribe to them. They got great stuff. And yeah, like and subscribe to my channel. Give it a good thumbs up, and turn on post notifications so that you can always get new videos coming up. Thank you again. YouTube's gonna have some recommendations on my videos that you might like. So it's gonna be like on this side or that side. YouTube will decide. So yeah, thank you. Like and subscribe, and Christ bless you all.